multiple products that fit into that. So we have Postergram, we have Ink, we have Pop Booth, we have Sesame. All these apps, you sign into your Sincerely account. It knows who all your friends are. It has your billing relationships. And I'd say there's two driving factors in this. One is mobile, in that people look at an app and they think of it as doing a primary function. Even if you go look at what Facebook did, they actually broke out elements of their business into separate apps. Because there's something I think about consumers when they click on a button on a phone, they expect it to do a single thing. It's going to send a postcard, or it's going to send liquor, or it's going to send a themed gift set. So that's part of the motivation. And then also, I guess there's three motivations. Another one is what this allows us to do is to be risky about experimenting with things. So we're not going to actually go and harm one of our existing brands, something that's working well. We go and we'll test something in a different brand. Sometimes we'll take those learnings and bring them back into the existing brand, or sometimes we're like, hey, that is actually enough of its own thing to be its own brand. And then also, if I go out and look at the existing players in our space, and I think about Provide Commerce or American Greetings, this is a strategy that they've employed. Provide Commerce has Pro Flowers. They've got Sherry's Berries. They have, some of these have happened through acquisitions or whatever, but they keep the brand separate, even though they're all run by the same technology company, same platform. So I guess it's threefold that I kind of build consumer products this way. I don't know if it's right.
I have a question about funding. When you first started out, you had the idea, you wanted to pursue it. How did you go about generating cash flow or finding people who were invested in your idea to help make it a reality?
So I think all of us, well, both of us were fortunate enough to get some initial seed funding for our first companies from Y Combinator, which is a seed fund in Silicon Valley, which I'm a venture partner of. So you should definitely apply if you have interesting, ideas. Basically, every 6 months we fund between 50 and 80 companies, with some initial seed funding, and then there's kind of a demo. It culminates in a demo day with a bunch of the top investors in Silicon Valley. That's a great way to get out there and get some exposure to people who are interested in investing in early stage technology companies. But you don't have to. There's many ways to do it. Basically, going into places where San Francisco or Silicon Valley and New York, where there's a high density of people who are interested in technology and interested in investing in technology is a great way to get started. And that's probably the first step.
This is one of the most proven strategies we've all seen in the last 5 to 7 years. Previous and still plausible strategies are building a business where your customers start giving you money really early on, or maybe they'll actually give you money to start working on something before it's even built because they want it so badly. Then that often leads to your customers actually investing in you. We see that happen a lot. Let's see what else. I believe in the title of this book. It's okay of a book, but the theme is right, which is Keith Ferrazzi's Never Eat Alone. You should just constantly be meeting with people. Every meeting that you can meet with people. That's so important to fundraising and to building a company and being an entrepreneur. And some of those might lead to you joining a company. And if I've worked with somebody and I see how much of a just kick-ass engineer they are and good person, and then they want to go off and do their own thing, I have a pretty good inside perspective on this guy's got a pretty good chance because he knows how to build stuff. And so I'll often invest in that. My rule of thumb is if I really try to hire somebody and I can't, I usually invest in them if they're going to start their own thing. What else? You could have
save money. Save money.
Yeah. That's, marry into family with money. Yeah.
My friend who did that. I actually have a friend who did that.
Dustin.
No. He uses. He started with his wife's dad's money.
Yeah. Whatever it takes, man. Hustle.
So earlier you joked with Matt about how much code did he actually do on Sincerely. So this question kind of expands on that. A, how much code do you actually learn versus I'm sure you handle a lot of biz dev and marketing I'm sure you have to get into.
It's probably
So to repeat the question, Eli's asking about personal development and how much time you spend learning new skills.
Yeah. And especially like how much at the beginning when you just had to start and you like really need to bootstrap things, and then now what does it look like?
So I think for me, it's different for everyone. For me, in the beginning, when we first started our first company, I spent all my time learning to program. And I actually didn't study computer science in college. I had like a little bit of background, but very, very like rudimentary. And like the first probably year or 2 years, or maybe even 2.5 years I was an entrepreneur, I was like mostly learning how to like build websites and web apps and learning a lot about, programming. And that was important because, we've always started companies that are primarily technology companies. And, that's like that's the main product, right? And like, even now that I program a lot less, almost none, day to day, I still, having that base of skills is important, like understanding like what's possible, what you can, what your company can do, what the limitations of technology are, how even like basic things like how long things should take, or like, being able to manage people. Like you have to, if you have the skill set, right, it's like much easier to manage. So like I'm a much better engineering manager than I am like a sales manager, because I don't have that like sales skill set. In terms of like today, how much time do I spend on like personal development? I think for me, I've never really said, I'm not very good at saying I want to get better at this thing, so I'm going to like work on this. I usually just get better at the things that I'm interested in. So I still spend time, like my free time, like programming, or networking is something I like doing, right? Like I like going out like Matt and meeting new entrepreneurs, and so I think the skills that I've developed on a day-to-day basis are the ones that things I'm actually interested in doing.
I coded a lot at the beginning of my first company. And actually, to reference your previous question, one of the things I did is my co-founder is like such a better developer than I was. And I had this opportunity to continue making money consulting at the Naval Research Lab. So I would like fly down there for 4 days at a time, make money, and like pay our rent so he could keep on writing our software. Actually, every Thursday in our office from like 6 to 7:30, we do Tinker Learn. And me and other people that don't know iOS development are learning iOS development. So we're doing that. Basically, the day that I stop learning stuff in my job is when I'm gonna like let somebody else do it. Like, that's why I do it. And so right now I'm learning about paid Facebook app installs. And like when I was in the last meeting, in that last talk, I was like writing myself emails about things I was thinking about. And I'm just learning that. I didn't even know about them until like 2 days ago. So that's what's so cool about my job, is I get to learn new stuff all the time. And you have to learn about a wide range of things, because you have to be at some level of awareness of every single thing that happens in the company, even down to like what are like HR policies in California. And I'm not that interested in that, but I have to know a little bit about it.
Exec has a cleaning service and an errand running service. Which one of those has grown to more of the company, and how do you plan to expand that?
So the question was that, my company Exec has 2 services. One is an errand running service and one's a cleaning service. And how do we plan on expanding, and which is bigger? The cleaning service is more recent. One of the things that we realized while working on Exec was that people weren't that creative in general. So when we told them they could do anything with our service, they were like, oh, that's cool, but what should I use it for? And so when we told them, hey, why don't you use it for cleaning, a lot more people were able to like conceptualize how they would actually do that and then go and do it. So we've expanded our cleaning service to a lot more places. It's in 7 cities right now, including New York and LA. And that's probably the thing that we're pushing really hard on today. In terms of scaling it, I mean, there's a lot of like back-end logistics things that we do. It's because it involves all these people in the real world, and like people are actually doing jobs. We built a lot of software to like interact with those people and kind of manage them, so that we can, only have a physical presence in San Francisco, but manage these like hundreds of people around the country.
Sure. So the question is, what's the most challenging part of creating your own company?
big challenges I had with my first company, and I've really tried to limit on this one, is like sacrificing time with friends and family for your business. I missed several weddings that I like really regret to this day. Like I go visit those friends and I like feel guilty about it. That was one of the biggest challenges. Money is always a challenge. You know, until these things basically reach escape velocity, like our friends at Weebly have. Basically, until then, you're basically always thinking about when's the next cash going to come in, how are we going to, you know, feed our employees, things like that. Hiring is probably the other thing that's one of the most challenging parts of building a business. Good people, everybody here wants them, and we're all competing for them. How do you find those great people, keep them motivated, and keep them excited?
I think for me, the hardest thing is focus. So it's, you know, if you're even thinking about a startup, it's probably because you have ideas. You have like, some of them are probably good, some of them are bad, but you're always thinking of new things. And I know for me, I'm always excited about something new. And in our very first company, we actually started all these different projects, but we didn't really focus on anything. And that was like basically set the stage for us not being successful at anything, right? In order to be really good at something, you have to do, you know, spend a lot of time making it good and working on it and understanding the space. And it's always been a challenge for me is to like focus on one thing at a time.
We have time for probably 2 more questions. Brandon?
How do you manage sort of moving out to these like identity startup areas when they're a little expensive? I guess fellowship isn't going to be anything.
My favorite thing to say when he asks how do you manage moving to like expensive places like San Francisco, you're not going to like the first answer I have, which is the answer I give my mom. She's like, oh, it's like I wouldn't, or what do people say? They're like, oh, it's so expensive. Like I can get so much more in Iowa for my money or something. And I'm like, it's supply and demand. I actually want to go where it's the most expensive. That means it's the best, right? That's where the market's telling you that the most people want to be. So it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like it's worth figuring out how to get there. If you have the right skill sets and you're a talented person, there's a lot of companies there that are looking for you. So you're not going to have any trouble. We should try to get to the back there.
So there's like a lot of ways to live cheaply. You know, when we first moved to San Francisco, we were like 4 guys in a 2-bedroom. And
I actually stayed there for like a month.
Yeah, Matt was sleeping there. We had like a guy sleeping on the balcony. I mean, so you know, we were doing it and we just didn't spend that much money.
Until 4 months ago, I was living in a 3-bedroom apartment with 3 couples, 6 people.
There's no reason for you to live like that when you're like actually, you know.
I enjoyed it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question.
Go way back.
Dan, you want to finish it off?
All right, so when you're bootstrapping and getting started, I know you have to wear like a lot of different hats from building the product to like managing relationships and stuff. And when you're trying to get funding and kind of like move things along, how do you prioritize your time?
Well, funding is like a full-time. Oh, so the question was, how do you prioritize your time when you're wearing all these hats and trying to fundraise at the same time? I mean, fundraising is like a full-time job basically for one person. So, you know, you kind of have to say, I'm going to go do it from this time to this time. You know, hopefully your product is kind of working. Maybe you have some other people to like help, you know, hold down the fort on that side or continue development or whatever. But, you know, I think it's really about just setting the goals and like how long you're going to spend on it and then just making sure that you like really use your time efficiently during that time.
It's a hard question. So that's something I struggle with all the time.
Stay awake more, work more hours.
Exercise so that you're better whenever you are working.
Are there any other tips, just to close this off, for how to be more productive and to be healthy and energized? So like, you guys work out more, drink more coffee.
Exercise is super important, so is coffee. Taking time away and like just putting your phone down and like being out in nature, or going surfing. In State College, it's tough. But yeah, like literally dedicating that time, those segments of time when you're not working, and knowing that that's actually going to be helpful to your work. What else?
I don't like nature.
Yeah.
So, you know, just getting away though, doing something else that's not work is good. You know, you can sometimes I'll be working on a problem and can't figure it out, especially like on the programming side, and then like just go to sleep, and the next morning it's like very clear what to do.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This was very helpful. And before you guys clap for them, because they're wonderful, I just want to announce that there are still 2 more sessions going on. So Steve from Reddit will be talking in a little bit as well, so make sure to stay around for that. So thank all of you for your questions, and thank you, Matt and Justin.
Thank you.